Welcome and good afternoon to all, and welcome to the InnoVision's first of our 3 Meet the Finalists virtual receptions. We have a fun and interesting hour planned as we introduce our finalists in 2 categories, the technology development and the community service categories. Before we get started, a couple housekeeping sort of things. One is we're going to be monitoring the chat board, and so therefore if you have a question, feel free to put it in chat and we'll try to find a place that we can interject that question for you. Second, we're going to be recording the session today, and so we'll post it on our website tomorrow. And we welcome, in fact, we ask that you promote this with all of your friends and colleagues, and we'll also be promoting it through the newsletter. Let's get going. I'm going to turn it over to Amy Robichaud. She's a member of the founding team of InnoVision and the current chair of our board. And she has a few words to say about InnoVision and our sponsors, and she'll introduce Russell Cook, our discussion moderator today.
Thank you, Michael. Congratulations to the InnoVision Award finalists in Technology Development and Community Service, and welcome to the InnoVision community. InnoVision's primary goal is to highlight, promote, and foster innovation, providing and making connections or collisions with peers and ecosystem support organizations is just one avenue we use to do so. So I hope you'll be connecting with fellow innovators during and after this event. We're able to showcase South Carolina innovations and innovators today with South Carolina Research Authority's support. Their support includes sponsorship of this Meet the Finalists webcast series, a collaborative and supportive working relationship, and providing a great InnoVision board member, Kella Player. Thank you. Thanks also go to SC Tech, sponsor of the Technology Development Award, and to Upstate Alliance for support of today's webcast. We're pleased to have Russell Cook with us to facilitate the finalist introductions and discussion today. Russell's the Director of SC Academic Innovations at SCRA. Russell, before you kick off the introductions, tell us a bit about your focus and role, and perhaps just add some brief observations or comments about the state of innovation in South Carolina.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amy. It's a pleasure to be here. And first of all, I just want to say it's a real pleasure to have InnoVision in South Carolina. What a great organization to advance technology and the innovation economic impact that goes on in our state. We certainly appreciate what you do. What we do in academic innovations is we support translational research at our research universities and other universities in South Carolina. We also support academic startups. We're really trying to take technology that's developed on campus, get it leveraged to a place where it can be commercialized and create a positive economic impact for South Carolina. Again, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I do believe that South Carolina has advanced in so many ways from an innovation and technology perspective. We still have a long way to go, but looking at the panel or the folks that we have here today, the finalists, we are well on our way, and I'm so pleased to be here with you. So let me give you all a little bit of an overview of today's program. I'm first going to have the finalists introduce themselves and their teams. Then we'll go around the virtual room and have each finalist give a 5-minute presentation on their technology or their community service. And then hopefully we'll have time for questions from all of you that are participating with us today. Now let's start with our introductions, and we're going to start with the Technology Development Award finalists, Foresight Data Systems, LLC from Columbia. Dean, would you introduce yourself and your team, please?
Sorry, I had to unmute. My name is Dean Hallman. I'm the founder and CEO of Foresight Data Systems, headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina. On the call with me, we should have Dana DeVoe, who is one of our team members, and Ashlyn Holman, another one of our team members who are actively involved in helping us build the product and get to market.
Great, thank you. Next up, Lamina Heat from Greer. Mark?
Yeah, hi, my name is Mark Anderson. I'm the managing director of Lamina Heat. We manufacture a thin film carbon fiber heating technology, and I'm the only one on the call today, so you're stuck with me.
Mark, thank you very much. We also have Terry from Victory Exofibers, and I have to give you full disclosure. Victory Exofibers is a member of SCRA with the Academic Innovations, and she's going to tell you about her team.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Terry Bruce, and my partners are Dr. Mira Pasternak, our COO, and Dr. David Bruce, who's on the call. He's our Chief Science Officer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Terry. Now let's turn to Community Service Awards finalists. Let's start with Crisis Intercept Mapping for Service Members, Veterans, and their Families, the Suicide Prevention. And Jessica is from Pickens, and she's going to tell us about her team.
Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Varney. I'm the collaboration manager for Pickens County. I work in the administrator's office here, and we are focusing on collaborations internally between departments and also externally through local, regional, and state level organizations in relation to special projects in my case. So that's how I became the collaboration manager. I don't have other members of our team on the call this afternoon, but this project spans quite an array of members. So there are too many to name.
A lot of stakeholders, that's for sure. So thank you, Jessica. And next up, we have SC Digital Drive, the South Carolina Broadband Office based in Columbia, Mr. Jim Stritzinger.
Hey, Russell, and all the InnoVision team, it's great to be here with everybody. I'm the director of the South Carolina Broadband Office, and I'm representing an amazing state agency, the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff, and I have a big team. I'll just be the one on the call today. It's a pleasure to be here and be with such distinguished finalists, so thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And now we have Carolyn with the Sophia Institute.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me here. It's wonderful to be with you. I'm Carolyn Rivers, founder and director of the Sophia Institute and the convener of Social Justice Racial Equity Collaboratives. I look forward to talking with you more about this later. Thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you. So for all of you out there being a part of this webinar, you don't even have to have your Snicker bar or your energy drink this afternoon because of these presentations. You're going to be pretty jacked up after this. So let's get on with it. We're going to start with the presentations for the Technology Development Awards. The Innovation Technology Development Award recognizes a company or organization for the development of a new or improved technology. The focus of the award is on the novelty of the technology and the challenge associated with developing it. The technology may be part of a new or existing product, process, or service that is intended for sale to customers or for internal use inside the organization. As a reminder, the finalists for this award are Foresight Data Systems, LLC, Lamina Heat, LLC, and Victory Exofibers, LLC. So we're going to get started here. Foresight Data Systems, Foresight Data Systems. Please start for us. Tell us a little bit about your innovation.
Okay, Dean, I don't know if you know you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, sorry about that. Foresight Data Systems has just been granted, as of July 5th of this year, a patent on a new method of programming a computer. And in order to understand where this comes from and why we believe this is a very significant development, I want to go back and introduce a little bit of history. Math and computer science have a long-running conjoined evolution. And one of the branches of mathematics that has been particularly beneficial to computer science is a branch of mathematics called category theory. Category theory was invented in 1942 through 1945, and it is significant because it formalizes what a relationship is. And relationships are very important in computing and in computer science. And it took about 50 years for computer scientists to recognize how pivotal category theory would be for computer science. As of about 1998, computer scientists started interjecting category theory into computing and into methods of programming. Well, all throughout the 2000s, culminating in 2009, mathematicians made a breakthrough in category theory, and they introduced a whole new branch of mathematics called higher category theory. So you can see on the left, we have sort of the simple category theory notation of the 1940s variant. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that the 2009 variant adds significant new expressive capability, and it allows you to express not only relationships between items, but also relationships between relationships. And so, I'm sorry, I'm getting some background noise. Someone
I took care of it, Dean.
Okay. So higher category theory is much more powerful than what I call lower category theory, in that it enables you to have expressions or relationships between relationships. So the next question is, what can this do for computer science? And a number of computer scientists and mathematicians have been trying to answer this question. There are various National Science Foundation projects that have been awarded to try to figure out how can this impact or benefit supercomputing, for example, because of the potential that this has for things such as massive parallelism that occurs within a supercomputing context. We believe that there is a tremendous impact in what is called citizen development. So while this patent, granted as of July 5th, has tremendous application across a number of different uses within computer science, we believe the place to start and the place where the impact is broadest is in what I call picture programming. So picture programming arose in really the late 1990s, early 2000s. It used to be that flowcharts were things we drew on a whiteboard, and then we converted all that to computer code. But now the diagram itself, the flowchart that you draw, that has become executable code. So we have tools like Integromat, SnapLogic, Informatica. A number of these tools allow you to draw pictures and then execute those pictures. So this has become kind of the rise of computer programming via pictures. So this has led to kind of a divide among the profession. And so in this fork that has occurred in the road, you have what they call low code and no code tools that are graphical programming. And then you have professional code tools, which are traditional source code programming tools. Now, the problem is anytime you introduce a fork or a division in a profession, you introduce problems. And there are a number of very significant problems that have started to arise because this fork has occurred in the programming model, and it's sort of splintered the enterprise into programming, or into picture programmers and code programmers. And these two programmers often, they don't quite work well together. The tool chains that they're built on are built on fundamentally different infrastructures, and people can build bridges back and forth between these two forks in the road. But the implication of our patent is that it prevents that road from forking to begin with. And this is something that is new. It's not been possible prior to this patent, and it's not been possible prior to higher category theory to be able to do both graphical programming and pro-code programming or code programming with one single solution, where that single road can give you pictures that you can program with, or it can give you code that you can program with from a single source and from a single platform. And so what we are working on bringing to market and building out is what we call Pathfinder Enterprise. Pathfinder Enterprise comes in two versions. It comes in what I call the Architect version and the Studio version. The Architect version is aimed at the pro code developer. The Studio version is aimed at the graphical programmer, but they can both use the same fundamental tool and the same fundamental capabilities or platform. And that will then render the program in the vocabulary and in the language that they both understand, but it allows them to work together in ways that have not been possible before. One of the reasons why we think this is very significant is the ability to have these two tools target the same cloud, the same infrastructure within the enterprise, because there have been a number of friction points that have been introduced by having a fork in the road that our technology eliminates. One of which is to have additional stealth clouds introduced, where these are clouds that the enterprise IT organization may not even know exist, because citizen developers are building things on their own, and this is introducing things or problems such as vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities as a result. And in addition, we have the rise of pro code and low code, or these citizen developers. They're pervading deeper into the enterprise. So now throughout the enterprise, whether you're talking about their own separate organization or within a work group, you have inroads being made for software development to pervade deeper into the enterprise. And so the advantages of this are being offset by the fact that these two branches in the profession are not working well together. And so what we've seen is that this is a broadly recognized problem. In fact, I took a quote here from Gartner, where Gartner was recognizing that the friction that exists between citizen developers building with picture programming tools and code programmers who are building with code programming tools don't have a current solution in the marketplace that is compelling. And this led Gartner to make the following observation: application leaders must involve citizen development as part of the future of app strategy, or risk further diminishing the value of the IT organization in the eyes of the business. And the problem is, while Gartner's advice is very significant and very important, it doesn't specify how you create these more beneficial solutions. And this is where our patent enters. And so if anyone has any additional questions or would like to follow up, you can reach me at dean@foresight.dev. And I would love to speak with anyone about ways in which you might be involved as a partner or possibly as a user of our technology. Thank you very much.
Dean, thank you. Wow, I even understood some of that. So that you really did a great job. That's fascinating. I can see multiple applications. So now we're going to go to laminate heat. Mark, tell us about what you're up to.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I certainly appreciate being here and giving the opportunity. Laminate Heat designs and manufactures a thin film carbon fiber heating material. And this is just a small example of what we do, but we do it in a full surface. So think of this as though this were a heater that were 3 feet wide and say 15 feet long. And that's the way we design our materials for full surface heating. So if you're thinking of a typical underfloor heater that's a resistive wire, you think of maybe a seat heater in your car that's a resistive wire, we're actually heating the full surface at one time. So like a lot of other technologies, we're converting electricity to heat. There's nothing new about that, but we do it in a fairly unique way with this carbon fiber material. We've taken this technology, and there's 2 key elements for us in this technology. The real key parts are our ability to adjust resistance. So if we have a certain given area that we want to heat, we know the certain voltage input that's required, we know the certain watt density or wattage output that we want, or temperature range, then we design the resistance in the heater for that. We may have the same surface area that we want to heat, but we have a different voltage input, but we want to get to the same watt density, we have to adjust the resistance. Same thing might be true. We want the same voltage input, but we want a higher watt output. We can adjust the resistance. That's what we call our customized electrical resistance technology. The other thing that makes us a little bit unique is we can take that base heater and put a lot of different materials and fabrics and things and coverings over top for a lot of different uses. This is a heater with an aramid fiber covering that could be utilized, typically utilized for an outside seat heater, for instance, if you're trying to keep people warm around a campfire. So those are the kind of technologies that we work with. We've taken that technology and we developed what we call today our Safe Tech heater. Very thin, very nice, durable heater. This is electrically insulated, fire resistant, moisture resistant, fully grounded, and very durable. And we took that base heater and we now apply that to what we call our power board, which is the reason we're here. And the power board is actually a ceiling heating system. So the first question we always get asked is, why are you putting heat in the ceiling? Doesn't hot air rise? The answer to that is yes, hot air does rise. However, we're not heating the air. We're heating the surfaces through infrared, true infrared technology. So I have a little presentation, I think a video that would be great to show. If you let me control this, I think this will be fun for everybody to watch.
Deciding which heating solution is best for your home can be difficult. Most of the market options, such as hot air or water heaters, heat primarily through convection, leading to big problems such as dry air, allergies from increased particulate movement, large temperature gradients, and inefficient heating of surfaces, all of which are negatively perceived by the human body. Now with Laminate Heat's power board, say goodbye to all these problems. Our power board is a heated and insulated 12.5mm board with a unique surface coating making it virtually indistinguishable from a standard gypsum panel. The power board incorporates our novel 220-volt carbon fiber heating film, making it the perfect choice to heat safely with radiant heat. And when we say radiant heat, we mean just like the sun. With a surface temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, the panels radiate the perfect amount of heat, which in turn heats up the surfaces below, allowing a comfortable environment to be reached quicker than pure convection heating methods. The installation of our power boards is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We've designed our power boards to be essentially plug and play. For installation, a contractor simply needs to take the board, screw it into the hanging profiles of a suspended ceiling, and connect the cabling to a cable harness. Then, prior to completion of ceiling installation, connect the cable to a relevant thermostat, and then you're done. Oh, and our heaters only need to be installed in about 20% of the ceiling surface area to provide a comfortable heating effect. Once installed, simply turn on the system and enjoy your comfortable radiant heat. Laminate Heat, putting heat where it is needed.
What I think is really unique about that technology and something that we're trying to really promote from an energy efficiency standpoint is now you don't have to heat a whole home. You can heat a specific room or you can heat zones. And you want to keep your heat at a certain, in your house at a certain temperature, but why heat a family room if you're not in it in the evening? Why heat a bedroom if you're not in it in the evening? Keep that temperature lower and allow the room that you're in to get more heat. And so you can zone this, and rather than, like I said, with current heating technologies today of heat pumps and forced air and oil heat systems or hot water heat systems that heat the entire house at the same time, we're really focused on zone heating. And I think that's one of the unique technologies we offer. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Mark. Let me ask just one question. What's the ideal early adopter for something like this?
Actually, in some of the research we've done, we quite honestly, we did a fairly in-depth, we contracted out for a very in-depth review of a market study and market analysis. And we kind of started focusing on the residential construction market, whether it be refurbishment or new or remodeling. But the real key targets for us that we learned from this market study was to go after the architects. That's really where we want to go.
You want to get specified.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We really certainly appreciate it. Now we're going to hear from Terry talk about Victory Exofibers. Terry, you're up.
Thanks, everybody. So I'm Dr. Terry Bruce again. I'm at Clemson University, and this is translational research out of my laboratory and the laboratory of some of my collaborators at Clemson. And today I am joined by my partners, Dr. Miro Pasternak, our COO, and Dr. David Bruce, our CSO. So one of the things that I love being able to do is talk to other entrepreneurs and really understand what I call their origin story. It's really what it is that drives them and how and why they came to begin their business in the first place. Victory's origin story is very personal, and I wanted to briefly share that with you to kind of give you an idea of why I have the passion that I do. I was content in my little lab at Clemson, working on understanding how cells communicate with each other across great distances in the body by using small cargo vesicles called exosomes, when my younger brother Greg was diagnosed with stage 3 brain cancer. That day, everything in Greg's world and in everyone's who loved Greg just shifted. For me, that included my research focus. Greg's stage 3 diagnosis really brought home the fact that we have to catch cancer and other diseases much earlier in the disease stage, treatments to have a chance to be effective. And so with Greg's encouragement and my family and friends, I began to research ways that we could do that. I shifted from looking at how exosomes are packaged, the information that goes into them, into how we could intercept those exosomes and use the information inside of them to determine what's going on in the body. So at Victory, we believe that liquid biopsies will one day revolutionize disease diagnostics, allowing us to screen more people and find diseases, including various cancers like Greg's, much earlier. However, the current reliance on liquid biopsies for using cell-free DNA can actually lead to inaccurate results, and that's not what you want for a patient. So for liquid biopsies to truly be effective, we need to use a better disease biomarker source, and we believe that exosomes are that better source for use in liquid biopsies. As I mentioned earlier, before Greg got sick, I've been studying exosomes, and exosomes are small lipid-bound vesicles that are excreted by all cell types in the body. And they were originally thought to simply be how cells got rid of their trash. But if we're honest, we can actually tell a lot about a person by examining the contents of their trash can. And in a sense, that's really the case with exosomes. They carry messages like RNA and DNA and proteins from their cell of origin that we can then use as biomarkers or hallmarks of disease that can be used in diagnostics. Now, because these messages are enclosed in a lipid membrane, it's much like a message in a bottle. They're protected, they're more stable, and it makes them ideal for liquid biopsies. The biggest issue that we have with using exosomes is that they're very, very small. They're tiny and difficult to isolate from the complex body fluids that we find them in. It can take up to 3 hours or more to isolate the exosomes from complex body fluid like urine or blood plasma. And we normally use a method like ultracentrifugation. It's similar to picking peas out of your mom's vegetable soup. It's time consuming, and at the end, you're kind of left with a lot of peas, but there's still soup clinging to those peas, so they're not real clean peas. So at Victory, we had to come up with a better way of finding and extracting those exosomes from the complex body fluids so that we could get the type of information that we wanted to them without a lot of contamination. And we are using a technique that we developed here at Clemson. I developed here with collaborators to cleanly and efficiently separate exosomes from various body fluids like urine, blood plasma, breast milk, amniotic fluid. And we can do this using what we call capillary channeled polymer fibers. And this very efficiently and cleanly separates our exosomes from any biofluid in minutes. So we've taken a process that normally takes 3 to 4 hours and is fairly dirty to a process that takes around 15 to 20 minutes and is very clean. This allows us to do a lot of characterization and biomarker studies. This is our 15-minute exosome research grade kits. These are for exosome isolations to be utilized by other laboratories that are investigating and looking into characterization of exosomes for various reasons, including biomarkers for other cancers and diseases. And in addition, we use this kit ourselves in my laboratory at Clemson to look for, to separate exosomes out and begin looking for exosomal markers for ovarian cancer. This is work that I've been doing in my labs with Dr. Larry Pulls at Prisma Health, and something that we hope to move into the Victory Exofiber arena very soon. This is kind of perfect for ovarian cancer because ovarian cancer is difficult to diagnose. The disease is really asymptomatic until it's reached a late stage of development. And sadly, the 5-year survival rate drops from 90% if caught at an early stage to about 15% if caught at an advanced stage. And 2/3 of women with OC are diagnosed at an advanced stage. So using our own fibers, we are working to find early stage exosomal biomarkers for liquid biopsy-based screening. As Russell mentioned earlier, we are an SCRA member company, and we are very grateful to SCRA for assisting us with finding potential suppliers and grant funding to help us get the research grade exosome isolation kits into the market and into the hands of other researchers who need this as well. And we're really extremely excited about the additional work we're doing in ovarian cancer and the potential we have to make a global impact in women's health and other diseases from right here in South Carolina. On behalf of myself and my partners, Miro and David, we're really honored to be a part of this wonderful group of InnoVision Awards finalists, and thank the award organizers for all their help and support throughout this wonderful experience. And I look forward to the public Q&A session and opportunity to answer any questions that anyone may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. You know, many entrepreneurs get started by solving a problem that's unique to them. And this one hits home in particular for you. And I'm so pleased to see you take Victory Exofibers, you and your team, to where you are now, and just can't wait to watch and follow your progress. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do now is turn our attention to our community service finalists. InnoVision's Community Service Award recognizes an organization for an innovation that improves the quality of life in South Carolina communities. The innovation may involve products, services, or processes that serve South Carolinians. The 3 finalists in the Community Service Award category are Crisis Intercept Mapping for Service Members, Veterans, and their Families. It's a suicide prevention, SC Digital Drive, and the Sophia Institute. Let's start up in Pickens County with Crisis Intercept Mapping for Service Members, Veterans, and their Families, Suicide Prevention, and we have Jessica. Jessica, you're on.
Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to present about this project today. Pickens County had the highest combined 5-year suicide death rate per 100,000 population in the state of South Carolina, based on data from DHEC from 2012 to 2016, and then again using data from 2013 to 2017. Pickens County dropped to 2nd place in the state based on data from 2014 to 2018, not because our rate declined, but because another county's rate increased. Based on this data, it is clear that suicide prevention is needed in our communities. There is never a single reason someone attempts or dies by suicide. Likewise, to prevent suicide and to address the broad range of risk and protective factors, a comprehensive and coordinated approach is needed. Our collaborative approach to addressing this health issue began in 2021 when Pickens County was selected as the first county in South Carolina to participate in the SAMHSA-led program to map our crisis care system and identify gaps and areas for improvement. As team lead, I assembled a team of local, regional, and state level stakeholders from both military and civilian realms, including local hospitals and VA hospitals, mental and behavioral health care providers, nonprofit veteran and mental health advocacy organizations, law enforcement, first responders, and our local government. By intentionally focusing on the ways our services work together and building relationships, the result is a more connected web of services that will minimize individuals slipping through the cracks. Crisis intercept mapping is an ongoing effort to continually improve care, raise awareness, and break the stigma of mental health issues to reduce the suicide rate over time. The team members developed a rapport that has elevated collaborative work far beyond the scope of crisis intercept mapping and contributed to overall improvement of relations for the betterment of the citizens of our county. Suicide prevention is everyone's business. All of us can learn the warning signs, attend trainings, and be aware of the resources available in our own communities, just in case the need arises. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to care. So if this is something that you are passionate about, please get in touch with me. I'll put my contact information in the chat. There is a way to be involved no matter where you are in the state. Thank you all so much for this opportunity to share information and also to learn from the other InnoVision finalists today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I do have one question for you, though. Looking at all of the stakeholders and service providers that you've been able to assemble and convene there in Pickens County, what's the secret to putting that powerful group together for a common goal?
I don't know what the secret really is. I know that our county administrator got a call from the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, William Grimsley, and he really encouraged our county to apply for this. And after we were selected, someone had to take on the role of being the coordinator to just email and get everybody on the same page. And we have a very small but very effective VA office here in the county. They are absolutely wonderful. All of our veterans, they have absolute great care when they come to see Sherry Harris, who's our VA officer in the county. But Sherry did not have the capacity to really coordinate this extra project, which is where I came in. So I think the secret is just to find the right people that have the time to devote to it. And then you just email until people answer you. And if somebody doesn't, then you move on to the next person that will, and you build the team and get them talking to one another, because you will be amazed at what people can figure out once you get passionate people in the same room.
Well, we're very glad that you were able to pull together all that support. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Jim Stritzinger with the South Carolina Broadband Office.
It's a pleasure to be with the InnoVision panel this afternoon and the distinguished finalists. And I want to tell you a little bit today about the South Carolina Broadband Office. And I like to talk about broadband through the lens of a little bit of history. And a lot of people don't know, but on May 20, 1936, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Rural Electrification Act. And that's the last time in US history that we've really propelled a major investment in infrastructure in US history. So I love this book. I found it. It's kind of become the Bible for my journey in deploying broadband. And in particular, this quote I like to share. A farmer stood up in church in the 1940s and proclaimed to the congregation, he says, "Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you this. The greatest thing on earth is to have the love of God in your heart, but the next greatest thing is to have electricity in your house." And I thought, what a compelling vision that was back in 1940 to get that going. And, I've adopted this as my call to action, because you can replace the word electricity with the word internet today, and we find ourselves with history repeating itself. So COVID has taught us all that, you know, getting broadband into the homes of South Carolina citizens and around the United States is a big deal. So my big mission in the broadband office, and the compelling thing that we have to do, is we are charged with making investments, not to directly connect homes. We make investments in internet service providers so that they can go out and do the heavy lift of actually installing internet in homes. So I'm like a big venture capital investor. And what I needed was a tool that helps me very accurately and efficiently show off where we need to make investments and where we don't. And the federal government's defined internet service for us in terms of speed. And so what our big innovation has been delivering a set of maps that help us work through this equation and make it really simple. We call it, the website we've put together for all citizens of South Carolina is called SC Digital Drive. And we've pulled together a set of maps that make it very easy. I'll like to share and just kind of educate everybody. These maps are available at the statewide level, but also for all 46 counties. And, you know, very simply, green areas are already served. The white areas, nobody lives there. And then I tell everybody to find the freckles on the map. And that shows you where there's a high density of homes that need internet service. So this mapping technique has been recognized around the United States as really state of the art. It's a big data project, believe it or not. We fold in over 10 million independent, they call them Ookla speed test records from individual consumers. So we're folding all of that together to create these mapping images. The areas of need, the planning maps help county administrators figure out where we've already made investments. The yellow areas are where state investments have been made. Blue areas are where federal investments have been made. We map the whole state. We show you where we have fiber, where we have cable. And the heartbreaking thing, the pink areas on the map, we show you where there is no internet service provider at all. That means you can't get internet service at any cost. It's not an affordability issue. And then we have statistics slides as well. So it's been a big challenge to build all of these maps and make them easily consumable and usable. So they download instantly in the format of PowerPoint slides so that a typical county administrator can load them into their deck and use the tool immediately. And it's been a wonderful thing, been very well received, both for the GIS professionals around the state as well as the lower tech county administrators. So we're very proud of it, and very pleased and honored to be part of this event with our other finalists too. Thanks so much, Russell.
Jim, thank you. We certainly appreciate all that you and your team are doing to advance broadband in South Carolina. If we look at the history of economic development in our state, first it followed the navigable rivers, then it followed the interstates, and now it follows broadband. And so it is absolutely essential that we do what you're doing, and we just appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Finally, in this category, we have Carolyn with the Sophia Institute. Carolyn?
Thank you so much. The Sophia Institute is a center for learning, convening innovative programs focused on personal transformation and societal transformation. Our work is led by thought leaders and spiritual teachers that foster the rise of the feminine in partnership with the masculine, cultivating wisdom, mindfulness, well-being for a more just, sustainable, and flourishing world for all people. The Sophia Institute's core work for personal transformation and our initiative for social transformation, social justice, racial equity collaborative focus on fostering a more egalitarian world, one where power with rather than power over becomes a way of living and being that honors our interdependence as well as love at the center of life. It's a tall order, and we've started our work 21 years ago. So we are now celebrating our 21st anniversary. People come to us from all over the low country of South Carolina, but other parts, South Carolina, and also nationally from all 51 states. So we're grateful that there's a yearning that people find that we are answering in this way of bringing together people for learning opportunities. I want to tell you, though, mainly the social justice, the work that we began after the horrific massacre at Mother Emanuel Church in 2015. You all might remember that 9 people were massacred in a prayer group at Mother Emanuel Church by a young white man. And that for us was a huge, shocking community tragedy. And a lot of us began to say, it's time to roll up our sleeves now and get to work across diverse lines to really address this centuries-old issue of racism and what we can do to understand both our common humanity and how to make a difference in the world when making a difference is so important. So we did just that. The Sophia Institute convened Social Justice Racial Equity Collaborative in 2016. After working together and with a consultant who could help us charter committees where we could work for social justice and racial equity, how we could work for economic parity, and create programs that would help address that. Early on, we realized we wanted to do truth and reconciliation work because that was not being done in our community. And Charleston itself is a community where centuries ago, 40,000 Africans landed on America's shores and laws were created that allowed them to be enslaved. So as we began to unpack the history of our area, we understood that the need to really address this was very important. And we remember that it was Einstein who said, the mindset that created the problems is not the mindset that will find solutions to the problem. Now, those of you who know Einstein's work know I just paraphrased that, but we were moved by that because we thought, yes, we have to change minds and heart sets of people if we are to be able to impact this, address this in a way that impacts change. So we found Dr. Gail Christopher, who began this work for truth, racial healing, and transformation when she was a leader at the W.H. Kellogg Foundation. It took us 2 years to find her. We interviewed the handful of people only in America who are doing truth and reconciliation work. Work born out of the apartheid work in South Africa. Her work, once we began to study it and to meet her, is so deeply transformational. We knew she was our consultant that we wanted to take this work on with. And we began to train with her. And in 2020, the pandemic slowed our process down. We wanted it to be in-person work, and we had to hold it for a year because we weren't ready yet to launch it. We thought if we didn't do it in person, but in 2021, we said this is enough time and we're going to go ahead and launch it via Zoom. And it's been really remarkable what we've been able to do. So there's a framework that she designed that we felt was really appropriate for our community, for all parts of South Carolina and really anywhere in the country. And that framework for truth, racial healing, and transformation is really based on 5 areas. So it's narrative change, it's relationship building and relatedness, it's law, changes in policies that might need to be made, it's changes also in economic parity, and changes in the area of separation, which sometimes we refer to as segregation. So we had design teams of 35 people who began to create goals and objectives around each one of those areas for our community here in Charleston. Those 5 pillars are focused on one of those 5 pillars, relationship building, where we have racial healing circles. And that's become really the centerpiece of our work. The racial healing circles and the framework are centered in dismantling a false hierarchy of human valuation. Racism is centered in a false hierarchy of human valuation and based on something as artificial as skin color. And so we really felt, all right, we need to address this. We need to name it. We need to speak the truth to it. And we need to do that in a way that's respectful to everybody. And we need to understand when we refer to racial healing as not one race healing another race, not that at all, but activating our own internal healing capacity so that our own mindsets, our own heartfelt understanding can shift in a way that we can hear truth when truth is spoken. And then we can make plans and changes that need to be made to begin to dismantle this hierarchy based on a false valuation of our human valuation. And then we can begin to move closer to a deeper understanding of our common humanity. So it's a tall order. It's hard, muscular work, and it's very transformative. So we've been able now to have this framework established. Our mayor has been involved in it. Diverse peoples across our community are involved in it. And we have a council, a leadership team, engagement partners who help cascade the work across the Charleston community. We've held so far in the last 6 months, 15 racial healing circles that have employed more than 150 people. Not employed, wrong word, engage more than 150 people. And people are having aha moments that are profound and are beginning to see things with a new mindset. And then as in so doing, begin to look for new solutions. An example, the economic parity team thought we need to have an incubator for small businesses that African-American people are beginning to establish in our community. Let's go to the Chamber of Commerce. Let's sit down, let's talk with them. Let's see if they'll hear a recommendation that we might have where people will listen to this. We went to the mayor and said, we think it's time for for an apology resolution for slavery. He agreed. And he said, please research it. Please write an apology resolution, bring it back to me, and we'll work through that and then take it to city council. It passed our city council by 1 vote. So we feel deeply committed to this work for social justice, racial equity collaborative. And we love Sophia Institute's work that we've been doing for 21 years, really centered on this personal transformation and societal transformation. So thank you so much. 5 minutes is short, as we all know here, to talk about what we're doing. But
it is very short when you're speaking about something that you're so passionate about. We thank you for taking on this very heavy lift, but a worthy lift. And we just appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
This has been awesome, fantastic. I'd like to thank InnoVision for allowing me to be here with you today to do this. And Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you in case we have some follow-up questions and closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Russell. Great job organizing and keeping everyone flowing here. That's great. Amy, you, I think, had a question. Do you want to ask it about, I think it was for Carolyn, about whether or not her framework could be transferable?
Yeah, just raise your hand if I'm going in and out. But Carolyn, I just wondered about the framework that was developed. Is that available to other organizations or other organizations within the state leveraging that? It just is, as many times we see things that were happening in one part of the state, and if it could be duplicated, the impact would be tremendous.
Sure, happy to take that to our leadership team and council for their input on whether or not we feel like it's ready to be transferable. It's a living document, Amy. And we're about to do a big summit on truth, racial healing, and transformation in Charleston on October the 6th. And we feel that we'll have other community members joining the framework team and continuing to evolve this work. We see it as a living document, the framework itself. And we haven't thought about it, about transferring it to other communities, but we'd be quite willing to do so. We know that we do have some unique problems in Charleston, but it may well be that what we've done here could be highly translatable. So thank you for the question. It's a very good one, and I'd like to take it to our leadership team.
Sure.
Yeah,
And my
and
guess, go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, as far as connections, there are a number of ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem organizations listening, and we'll be reviewing the recording. So I think also that the best practices that are coming out of the discussion with the chamber focused on businesses and helping businesses would be a
Wonderful.
welcome for
Yeah,
many as well.
So then I hear you asking specifically for that too. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, and
Thank
I
you,
might
Carolyn.
add, Carolyn, that I doubt you'll ever be ready. In other words, it's such a complex topic and endeavor. So I'd say anything that you could make available to others would be better than probably what they're working with now. So hopefully your board will see that. Okay, well, I see we're coming up on the 5 o'clock hour, and I sure hope that you've all had a chance to see what we here at InnoVision see as we work with these very talented finalists and so forth. I mean, they're innovations, they're interesting, but what's even more interesting, I find, is the people behind them, right? I mean, as you hear each of these individuals speaking, really neat stuff they're doing, but wow, the passion that you can just feel behind it is what's really energizing. I mean, they see a problem and they go out and do something about it, right? Whether it's a medical device, a consumer product, a community initiative like Carolyn, these creative people are helping other people do something they couldn't do before. And that's what we are trying to foster here at InnoVision. So I'd like to maybe take a big Zoom applause. You can clap, you can use your clapping hands and so forth, but what a great accomplishment of all these individuals and so forth. Thank you so much for joining us today. So for those of you who want to meet more of the finalists, we will be here next week at the same time to recognize the finalists in the small business and the education award categories. Please visit innovationawards.org website and our Eventbrite page for links to these additional virtual celebrations. And consider joining us in November, on November 15th, when we will now showcase the winners. So I'll tell you, the judges have had a very difficult time trying to figure out which of these finalists are going to be the winners. And so maybe you have your favorites, but join us on the 15th to find out who it was that made it. So without further ado, look forward to seeing you all next week.